Good day, this is the Morgan, and I want to welcome you to another show of Dated Stories, a podcast dedicated to stories and storytellers. Today I will be reading to you a story by Beverly Cleary called Dear Mr. Henshaw, with illustrations by Paul Zelinsky. And I will be only reading to you a couple of pages. But first, I want to dive into the introduction of the book, which gives just a brief summary of the author's background. Here it says, Beverly Cleary is one of America's most popular authors. Born in McMinnville, Oregon, she lived on a farm in Yamhill until she was 6 and then moved to Portland. After college, she became the children's librarian in Yakima, Washington. In 1940, she married Clarence Cleary, and they are the parents of twins, now grown. And so from there, obviously there's like another paragraph that provides more of her accomplishments. But I'm going to proceed to begin reading the book. And it says here, Dear Mr. Henshaw, I am the boy who wrote to you last year when I was in the 2nd grade. Maybe you didn't get my letter. This year I read the book I wrote you too about called Ways to Amuse a Dog. It is the first thick book with chapters that I have read. The boy's father said city dogs were bored, so Joe could not keep the dog unless he could think of 7 ways to amuse it. I have a black dog. His name is Bandit. He is a nice dog. If you answer, I get to put your letter on the bulletin board. My teacher taught me a trick about friend. The I goes before the E so that at the end it will spell end. Keep in touch. And it says touch with a T-U-T-C-H. So cute. And then it says, your friend Lee Botts. And that's dated December 3rd. And then this letter here is dated November 13th. And it says, Dear Mr. Henshaw, I am in the 4th grade now. I made a diorama of ways to amuse a dog. The book I wrote to you about 2 times before. Now our teacher is making us write to authors for Book Week. I got your answer to my letter last year, but it was only printed. Please, would you write to me in your own handwriting? I am a great enjoyer of your books. My favorite character in the book was Joe's dad because he didn't get mad when Joe amused his dog by playing a tape of a lady singing. And his dog sat and howled like he was singing too. Bandit does the same thing when he hears singing. Your best reader, Lee Botts. So it looks like there's a couple of letters that Lee Botts wrote. And here, this one is dated December 2nd, and it says, Dear Mr. Henshaw, I got to thinking about ways to amuse a dog. When Joe took his dog to the park and taught him to slide down the slide, wouldn't some grown-up come along and say he couldn't let his dog use the slide? Around here, grown-ups who are mostly real old with cats get mad if dogs aren't on leashes every minute. I hate living in a mobile home park. I saw your picture on the back of the book. When I grow up, I want to be a famous book writer with a beard like you. I am sending you my picture. It is last year's picture. My hair is longer now. With all the millions of kids in the U.S., how would you know I am if I don't send you my picture. Your favorite reader, Lee Botts. And then she has a picture. It says picture of me. Well, enclosure, a semicolon, picture of me. We are studying business letters. And she has a picture of herself at the bottom of the page. And so on October 2nd, there was a letter written, and it says here, Dear Mr. Henshaw, I am in 5th grade now. You might like to know that I gave a book report on ways to amuse a dog. The class liked it. I got an A-. The minus was because the teacher said I didn't stand on both feet. Sincerely, Lee Botts. And then the next letter, dated November 7th, it says here, Dear Mr. Henshaw, I got your letter and I did what you said. I read a different book by you. I read Moose on Toast. I liked it almost as much as Ways to Amuse a Dog. It was really funny the way the boy's mother tried to think up ways to cook the moose meat they had in their freezer. 1,000 pounds is a lot of moose. Moose burgers, moose stew, and moose meatloaf don't sound too bad. Maybe moose mincemeat pie would be okay, because with all the raisins and junk, you wouldn't know you were eating moose. Cream chip moose on toast, yuck. I don't think the boy's father should have shot the moose, but I guess there are plenty of moose up there in Alaska, and maybe they needed it for food. If my dad shot a moose, I would feed the tough parts to my dog Bandit. Your number 1 fan, Lee Botts. And then the next letter, it says here, and it's dated September 20th. Dear Mr. Henshaw, this year I am in the 6th grade in a new school in a different town. Our teacher is making us do author reports to improve our writing skills. So of course I thought of you. Please answer the following questions. How many books have you written? Is Boyd Henshaw your real name or is it fake? Why do you write books for children? Where do you get your ideas? Do you have any kids? What is your favorite book that you wrote? Do you like to write books? What is the title of your next book? What is your favorite animal? Please give me some tips on how to write a book. This is important to me. I really want to know so I can get to be famous, or so I can get to be a famous author and write books exactly like yours. Please send me a list of your books that you wrote, an autographed picture, and a bookmark. I need your answer by next Friday. This is urgent. Sincerely, Lee Botts, D-Liver, D-Letter, D-Sooner, D-Better, D-Ladder, D-Letter, D-Matter, I get her. So when you say deliver, it has D-E liver, then it has D-E letter, then it has D-E sooner, then it has D-E better, and it has D-E later, then it has D-E letter, then it has D-E matter, and then it has I get her. And so this is going to be the last letter that I read from Mr. or Mrs. Lee Botts here. And it's dated November 15th. And it says, Dear Mr. Henshaw, at first I was pretty upset when I didn't get an answer to my letter in time for my report. But I worked it out okay. I read what it said about you on the back of Ways to Amuse a Dog and wrote real big on every other line, so I filled up the paper. On the book, it says you lived in Seattle, so I didn't know you had moved to Alaska, although I should have guessed from Moose on Toast. When your letter finally came, I didn't want to read it to the class because I didn't think Miss Martinez would like silly answers, like your real name is Messing, round. And you don't have kids because you don't raise goats. She said I had to read it. The class laughed and Miss Martinez smiled. But she didn't smile when I came to the part about your favorite animal was a purple monster who ate children, who sent authors long lists of questions for reports instead of learning to use the library. Your writing tips were okay. I could tell you meant what you said. Don't worry. When I write something, I won't send it to you. I understand how busy you are with your own books. I hid the second page of your letter from Miss Martinez. That list of questions you sent for me to answer really made me mad. Nobody else's author put in a list of questions to be answered, and I don't think it's fair to make me do more work when I already wrote a report. Anyway, thank you for answering my questions. Some kids didn't get any answers at all, which made them mad, and one girl almost cried. She was so afraid she would get a bad grade. One boy got a letter from an author who sounded real excited about getting a letter and wrote such a long answer the boy had to write a long report. He guessed nobody ever wrote to that author before, and he sure wouldn't again. About 10 kids wrote to the same author, who wrote one answer to all of them. There was a big argument about who got to keep it until Miss Martinez took the letter to the office and duplicated it. About those questions you sent me, I'm not going to answer them, and you can't make me. You're not my teacher. Yours truly, Lee Botts. P.S. When I asked you what the title of your next book was going to be, you said, "Who knows?" Did you mean that was the title, or you don't know what the title will be? And do you really write books because you have read every book in the library, and because writing beats mowing the lawn or shoveling snow? And so I'm going to conclude it here with this letter here. Of course, there's plenty more letters. I'm going to stop here. And this is a book, again, by Beverly Cleary. And it's called Dear Mr. Henshaw. And the illustration is by Paul Zelinsky. Thank you again for joining me on another edition of Dated Stories, a podcast dedicated to stories and storytellers. I am your host, Tamar, and until next time, see ya.